Hello, it's Eridos again. Been a while since I've been in front of the camera here. You can see I'm trying a new look here. Got a new mask. Not sure if this is going to be a permanent fixture of these videos here. Trying for a backdrop, but didn't really work out too well. Anyway, the reason I'm going to be in front of the camera right now is because there's recent developments with Ninja Division. They announced a Valentine's Day promotion where they're going to have a special limited run miniature, and the Facebook fan pages are showing a lot of negativity over this. Chibi Gamer and Ninja Corpse. I'm just seeing some people are excited, but there's also a lot of people who are very negative about this and negative about the company in general, and I want to try to address what's been going on, why people are so negative, and try to be as objective as possible in this and go over every single point that I know of so far. Now then, I'm not going to bring up stuff like Guts or the Space Dandy card game or the Tokyo Ghoul card game, because I haven't really seen any negativity towards this stuff as far as I know. From what I've seen so far, I can't really comment on that, so I'm just leaving that out. I also have a script here, so I'm going to be scrolling through it as I try to do this video here. Now that I also want to try to bring up the Robotech RPG Tactics, because that was Ninja Division's first their first project when they became Ninja Division, when they Soap Pop Miniatures and a few other companies merged together into this bigger parent company. But again, Robotech RPG Tactics, while it is filled with a bit of negativity, I'm not really sure who's to blame for that. So I don't want to bring that up in this, because could be Ninja Division, could be Palladium, could be Harmony Gold for all I know. So I don't really want to bring that up until I know more information about what went wrong and who actually caused that little thing. But anyway, the actual complaints that I've been seeing for Ninja Division have been definitely going around the more recent Kickstarters they've actually started. The first one being Rail Riders Infinite, which is basically a kind of a sci-fi meets Western game. The problem I've heard a lot of people complain about with this game is that, to be honest, people were seeing the game in stores before they even got their Kickstarter packages in. And this isn't the US. This isn't local here. This is outside the US, foreign backers not seeing their packages before the retail comes in. Understandably, though, this is sort of a thing with retail releases, because they usually get higher priority than a shipment to a personal address. And since these are foreign shipments take a long time. I mean, if you've ever ordered anything on eBay from a foreign country, it's probably going to take a really long time, whereas retail releases try to get them shipped out as quickly as possible. And after I wrote this script, I also realized something. A lot of people taking the pictures of these sets being on the shelves before they got their Kickstarter packages, they showed stuff like the expansion packs and whatnot that weren't even on sale on the website yet. So I'm led to believe that maybe these people maybe these retail stores that had these games, maybe they were backers on the Kickstarter as well, because these Kickstarters will occasionally have retail pledge levels where they will send copies of the game to a store to sell for retail. So that could be a reason why these people were seeing the game in stores before they got their packages. Now then, another thing about the expansions, like I said, they weren't listed in the stores. All we have is the core game, the spin-off game that was funded as well, and like 2 or 3 figures, whereas the Kickstarter funded several individual miniatures and 2 additional expansions for the game, and we haven't really seen any word when these are going to be out for the customers who did not back the Kickstarter, we don't have a reasonable release date for those yet. So yeah, there is a bit of communication that we need for that. Anyway, the next thing is also The Way of the Fighter, which I backed. I got my copy in December, just before Christmas, I might add. Now, The Way of the Fighter is also possibly going to have the same issues as Rail Riders because, again, the game, they've already announced that they are going to be releasing the game in February for retail, but they've only just got packages shipped out to the foreign markets, at least from what I've been hearing, because I'm hearing people outside the U.S. saying that they only just got their packages, which is months after we in the U.S. got ours. And considering that the release date's so close, we might be seeing another Rail Riders incident where we might be seeing people knocking their Kickstarter stuff and seeing the game in their stores. Again, it's hard to say if this is going to be the same situation because the Kickstarter updated just said that they shipped out all pledges, so it might not be, but we'll actually have to see until then. Another two things about Way of the Fighter is that the miniatures that were supposed to be shipped out with the game have been delayed. Again, production reasons, but because of all this stuff and negativity, it's kind of starting to get to the point where any small delay is going to start bringing ire from the fan base for some reason or another. And another really big problem with Way of the Fighter is that the rulebook doesn't really explain much about the game itself. I mean, it does tell you how to play, but in a way where it's kind of hard to figure out unless you actually watch someone play. Like if you watch the Facebook playthroughs, it's really the only way to actually figure out how all the rules work, and it does feel a little tiny problematic in that regard. It's a good game, but again, it is kind of problematic in that regard. Okay, the next topic is, of course, Relic Knights. Relic Knights, the second edition of Relic Knights. I'm not talking about the first edition. I'm talking about the recently created second edition. That Kickstarter was actually started really shortly before or after Way of the Fighter. I think it was after Way of the Fighter was funded. They started the Relic Knights Kickstarter. I don't exactly remember who came first, but again, it does seem that it was started a little too soon, and updates were frequent at first, but now they've been slowing down, and the updates really haven't been talking about the gameplay or the printing progress or what's been going on with the game. We're just getting lore updates, but again, like I said before, because of all this negativity that we've been seeing so far, this just exacerbates the whole situation. So again, we don't know when Relic Knights is going to be officially coming out because, again, the projected release, we don't know if that's actually going to be solid. But I can also see the Relic Knights being delayed because longer than Way of the Fighter, because Way of the Fighter is a brand new property, whereas Relic Knights, this is the second edition. So basically they have to figure out a way to get those first edition miniatures into this new rule set. They've said they're going to do that. They're going to make brand new character stat cards for all the first edition miniatures, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is the issue. They're trying to put in the first edition stuff into the second edition rules, which may be taking longer. It's not really a problem, in my opinion, because they have to make sure they get it right, but also, again, all this negativity that's already built up. You might have heard of the Streisand effect with like what happened with Jim Sterling and Digital Homicide. Bad negativity will actually just exacerbate more of the stuff that's down the line too. Okay, next topic. And this is the big one, the one that people are complaining about the most, and that is Super Dungeon Legends. Oh boy, this is a really large, complicated topic, and the one that's causing all of the problems so far and been trickling down into these other Kickstarters. Now then, Super Dungeon Legends was basically the second edition rule set for Super Dungeon Explorer, as well as the Legends set, which is supposed to be the campaign expansion where you can play it as a regular RPG campaign. The thing is that this was supposed to come out near the end of 2016, right near the end, but unfortunately now we're here at 2018 and it's pretty much way over a year since it was promised to be delivered to backers, and we've been getting updates saying that they're going to split this into 2 separate shipments because they don't want to delay certain parts that are already finished. We've also only been getting lore updates and print cards, but we're not getting any actual finalized production dates. We don't even know if they're going to be able to deliver on their new promised dates of April. And yeah, a lot of people are just really being negative about this Kickstarter. Again, they have like the first edition and the 1.5 edition they have to make compatible with the second edition rules. They're also putting a whole RPG campaign in this new expansion, which of course is going to take a long time. So it's really hard to say exactly if they're going to get this out on time or not. And it's understandable why, but people are also getting frustrated by the lack of progress we're seeing on it. Not to mention what's been happening with previous releases, because they announced like 2 or 3 expansion packs, which they promised for the 1.5 edition, and now they've been held off because they have the second edition coming out. These things had set release dates, and now we have a to-be-announced releases for all these expansions because now they have to make them compatible with second edition. And a lot of people are not really happy because now we have these expansions that were announced, and some people have actually pre-ordered these, not from Soda Pop Miniatures website, but from other miniatures websites. And now we don't know when they're even going to come out. So you can see why a lot of people are even more frustrated about that. And we're also seeing a little bit of an issue with Ninja All-Stars as well. I mean, we got a lot of expansions for that, but there was like 1 or 2 expansions that were announced that have now been put on to be announced, despite the fact that people have possibly pre-ordered this on other miniature websites as before. So yeah, you can see there's a lot of frustration with Kickstarters and whatnot. People have been seeing stuff getting delayed a lot more. And there have been problems with the shipments. People have been seeing this game on store shelves before they get their packages. But again, that's sort of like an issue with possibly the shipping progress, or possibly even the fact that these people who are selling the games pre-ordered on a retail level. And that's not even getting to start on the next couple of issues, and that's not even involving the Kickstarters, but rather pre-orders themselves and the release schedules, and the fact that they're now doing limited run miniatures now, because back when they created back when they were making the Siege of the Citadel chibi miniatures for the Siege of the Citadel Kickstarter, which is something they're doing for this other company, basically they made an announcement saying that they were going to start doing limited run stuff that wouldn't really fit in the Super Dungeon Explorer universe. And that sort of started this really snowball effect that anytime they say there's going to be a limited run something, people are just going to go out and just get as much of that stuff as possible. I guess I should also mention that the chibi crossover miniatures for Siege of the Citadel, they said they were going to have a bundle deal ready for it by the time the Pledge Manager came out for that, and it wasn't until a few months later that we actually saw a bundle deal in the Pledge Manager after the Pledge Manager launched. So again, it took them a while to finalize that, although I can't really find exact reasons why, but it's probably because they needed to figure out the production cost and whatnot. Regardless, as I was saying, because they announced they were going to start doing limited run stuff, and of course, the last crossover, the most famous crossover miniature, the Twilight Knight for Kingdom Death, they announced that they were discontinuing that, and prices just skyrocketed for that. For like, they were going for like triple digits for the miniature. So Gen Con 2017 comes around, and they announced they were going to release 4 exclusive miniatures for Gen Con, which is going to be a reprint, which was the reprint of the Twilight Knight, new sculpt and everything, as well as a trio of 3 miniatures based on their Academy series. I don't know how to pronounce the actual name of the Academy itself, but basically it started with Tentacle Beano, then it went into Karate Fight. Basically 3 miniatures themed after that. And after their announcement, people were just snatching up pre-orders like crazy for these things, thinking that there weren't going to be a whole lot of them. And when Gen Con came around, they sold out in like a day for all these miniatures, so now they had all these pre-orders that they couldn't fill because they didn't have enough stock. So yeah, the pre-order fulfillment was delayed because they didn't have the stock to fill out all those pre-orders, so yeah, little short-sighted planning there. And it's probably a reason why this new exclusive miniature for Valentine's Day is only going to be pre-order based, because then they're going to order based on all those pre-orders. And it's not the only time we've had problems with pre-orders, because I've heard people talking on some of the sites that they pre-ordered the Pathfinder crossover miniatures with Red Sonja, Tarzan, John Carter of Mars, and they were supposed to get them at some point, and they still haven't been delivered yet. I'm not sure exactly when the release date is for these things, when it was, but I have been hearing some people saying that it should have come out by now. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it's hard to really say. I'm just going by what I've seen people post online for this stuff. And of course, we have to talk about this new miniature itself that just recently was announced that people are having such an issue with. So basically, we've had all this negativity snowballing into this, causing people to be very mistrustful of it. And then, of course, there's also the fact that this is going to be pre-order only. You can't buy it after the pre-orders are up, because you can only pre-order it until March 1st. So after March 1st, you can never get it ever again. And it's not going to be shipped out till April, because, of course, they have to make all these. The other big issue when the miniature was announced was that the miniature was going to retail for about $20. Now then, normal Super Dungeon Explorer miniatures usually range between about $12 and $16 a piece. 20 or higher is more for like the giant boss characters, and even they have like additional miniatures. This is a single hero miniature for $20. So people are seeing this as more like a overpriced miniature for what you're getting. And it's causing a lot of people to theorize that maybe this miniature came out because maybe these Kickstarters that are still yet to be fulfilled haven't really... They basically possibly run out of money. I can't really say for sure, though, because, again, this is speculation from what I've been reading, what people have been speculating about this miniature, so it's hard to say if this is true or not. But when you think about it, Ninja Division has put out a lot of Kickstarters in a very short amount of time. I mean, we've had Rail Raiders, we've had the Way of the Fighter, we've had Relic Knights 2nd Edition, we've had Super Dungeon Explorer 2nd Edition, we've had, of course, just recently, like a month or two ago, the Starfinder miniature set that they're going to be making for Starfinder. And to be honest, out of those 5, which are all in a very short period of time, only Way of the Fighter and Rail Raiders have actually sent out their fulfillment for Kickstarter backers, leaving 3 still in production, 1 that has been in production for a very long time, considering. And the other 2 are starting to bring up doubts because of the delays from the first Kickstarter. So basically what we're talking about is that people are finding a lot of mistrust with Ninja Division's fulfillment with their Kickstarters and their pre-orders and whatnot. People are even saying that they're now glad that they didn't back certain things because they don't trust the company anymore, which is unfortunate. To be honest, it doesn't really feel like Ninja Division's fault for all the delays and whatnot, in the sense that it doesn't feel like they were intentionally trying to cause all these problems. But it does feel, with all these Kickstarters they started in such a short amount of time, they might have been stretching themselves too thin. I kind of felt that way when I saw the Relic Knights and the Way of the Fighter being so close together, like months or so apart. It just gave people such a short amount of time to back them both, especially the fans who will try to back everything. In any case, I really don't feel like this was intentional, but it does feel like they may have pushed themselves a little too far, stretched themselves a little too thin. And the fans are starting to really be negative about this. I don't really want to see them fail at this, though. I mean, if they actually put out Super Dungeon Legends at a set time and actually keep that set time, then maybe they can win back their fan base, but I'm not really sure at this point, because we are not really sure how far along the progress has been so far, because, again, the updates have only been, like, a few and far between, and they've been just little tiny bits, not a full big update. And I think time might be running out for Ninja Division to win back these really negative fans. To be honest, there's people like me who are willing to wait, because, again, Kickstarters take a while. They can be really hard to get all the stuff right. There's always going to be delays. Doesn't matter how well the Kickstarter does, there's going to probably be a delay or so. I mean, take a look at Kingdom Death. That was delayed almost 2 years, and they finally brought out their product, and it is one of the best board games I've ever seen. So, yeah, sometimes it's going to be delayed a long time, but the end product will probably be really great. But again, it's hard to win back people who are just tired, especially with so many Kickstarters by this one company. I'm not really trying to be negative here. I just want to bring all these facts to you guys so you can bring up your own opinions about this company. Do you think they might have just went a little too far with their stuff and they really are going to have a hard time winning them back? Or do you think the fans are just being overreacting, and do you think they really should back off and just trust in them? That's really up to you to decide. I'm fine with waiting. I know that they probably will take a long time to get their stuff out, but I also hope that the wait's going to be worth it. So I'm just going to leave the opinions up to you. I've made all the evidence I could find about this stuff, and I want you to leave your comments saying what you think about the company. What you think's going to happen? What you think they should do? And I hope to see you guys on my next video. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.